Hey, it's Josh, and in this video I wanted to share some of the practices I've been using on my journey of spiritual awareness. And I was a little hesitant about making this video because something I've been realizing along the way and in using these techniques is that there can be the risk of becoming attached to the to-dos, of sort of getting really attached to the practice rather than what is the outcome of the practice, basically. So we can become really wrapped up in yoga, and now I'm a yogi. Oh, I do mindfulness. I'm Buddhist. Even with QiGong and Tai Chi and like different spiritual beliefs and practices, and they become a belief system, and then we're systemizing it. And as useful as these practices are, it's almost like a fake it till you make it. It's almost as if these are just different ways to practice surrendering. They're ways to practice letting go, ways to practice moving your body, moving energy, practice breathing, practice being present. And then once you experience that, then you let go of the practice. You can't think your way into enlightenment. You might have to think your way into these processes, and to the point where they become, it's almost like you're unconsciously incompetent. You don't know what you don't know until you're introduced to it, and then you're consciously incompetent. It's like, oh, now I know I didn't know these things, so let me practice it consciously. So then you become consciously competent. You have to think your way through it, and then until you reach a stage of unconscious competence. You're unconsciously doing it. You're just naturally living the experience of meditation, movement, breath, energy. I see people debating, should I do yoga, or should I take a more Hindu approach, should I do a more Buddhist approach, should I Christianity, and there's all these paths. The truth is the truth is the truth. The way it is the way it is. When you realize that, you let go of all of the methods to get to that. You release it all. So practice letting go until you can actually let go, and just don't become attached. So having said that, let me go through some of the practices that I found really helpful in my journey, and I'm going to give labels to them, but when you try these, just feel it, experience it to the point where you don't have to use a label, and then just let your body take you through it. For example, QiGong has been something that I've found really helpful. I've tried Tai Chi in the past. It seemed very technical, and I know after years of practice, perhaps it can become more of a natural flow. But QiGong has been something that I've really embraced, and my body has just wanted to move through these movements. And so I've practiced. I took an online course for it. It's better if you can practice with a master. But I've used these techniques enough that they've become so natural to me, and especially on times when I've performed this with mushrooms or with entheogens, it's almost like my body wants to move into these movement patterns. And much of it involves flexion extension with breathing incorporated, and you sense into your body and let it happen through you. Let the energy move through you with the movement and the breath. It's like a moving meditation. It's beautiful. If this resonates with you, it's something that I recommend looking into. Now we're talking about movement and moving energy through your body, like I touched on with QiGong. Yoga is another form of almost, I look at it as moving meditation, a way of moving into your body and going deeper and deeper within, so you're not looking for the solutions externally. Again, I've found yoga has almost become like a fitness trend, and I feel like it's lost its initial authentic approach like it used to be with a yogi master who would take you through one-on-one, and it would incorporate a lifestyle, a whole spiritual practice surrounding it. So there's certain yoga poses that I've been using, which again I found over time I was able to relax the sequencing and just move as my body wanted to move, and incorporate the breathing and really sensing into the movement, sensing into my body, and let it become less rigid of a practice. But again, initially I feel there may be some benefit to following a specific sequence and making sure you get the poses right and working with an instructor. But what movements does your body resonate with? And usually it's involving flexion, extension, rotation, incorporating the breath into those movements. Let that body move, get the energy moving up through your chakras, through your spine, get that flow, move those restrictions and blockages. Another practice I use is emotional freedom technique, or tapping. I think it's also called the Dr. Callahan technique. And this is where you're tapping certain points on your body while repeating a phrase, usually related to limiting beliefs or something where you have some resistance around.
Even though I seek approval from others, I still completely and deeply love and accept myself.
For example, even though I feel the need to prove my point to other people, I still completely and deeply love and accept myself. So whatever the resistance or the thing that's holding you back, or even though I have a fear of public speaking, I still completely and deeply love and accept myself. And you tap these points while you're repeating this. And that moves energy through your body, so it releases the trauma, releases the emotional blockage in your energy system. Definitely recommend you try it if you find there's certain issues that keep coming up for you. Try tapping through them with EFT. Now, some techniques I've found helpful for opening up my airways before I get into breath work and meditation has been using a neti pot. So doing a nasal rinse to clear out my sinuses and my nasal passageways so I can breathe more deeply. And there's a lot of benefits to doing this. I don't do it every day. I don't think it's necessary to rinse out every single day with like this, and there's some mucus that we want to keep around in our sinuses. But definitely incorporating a clean, like boiled salt water nasal rinse can be very helpful. And pranayama, alternate nostril breathing as well, is something that I'll do after I've done my nasal rinse. And it's helped to center and balance my breath to prepare me for other breathing techniques in meditation. Now, when we're talking about breathing or breathing techniques, Kriya Yoga is something that I've just recently touched on, and I don't have a lot of background in it, but the basic technique that I've taken from Kriya Yoga is like chakra breathing, breathing up from your lower chakras up through in towards your third eye and crown chakras, focusing your attention down on that and your root, and then breathing it up through your spine, pulling it up like you're pulling energy through a straw, drawing it up towards your head. That's an oversimplification, obviously, but any form of that where you can concentrate on pulling the energy up with your breath will be beneficial to you. So look into that. Something that's been at the core of my spiritual practice has been meditation, and mindfulness meditation is what I've been drawn to, and you can put a name or a label to it, but really all it is for me is using the breath or some other object of concentration and focus to the point where you can keep coming back to that until all of the different thoughts and distractions gently are released. And mindfulness meditation is another thing where you do the practice until there's no doing involved anymore. And then you just be, and you become present, and you release the steps and stages, and you release the doing of it. For me, I feel that meditation is something that it is a core of a self-realization journey. Something I've just tried recently that I'm probably not going to continue in my practice, but I'll just mention it here. It's been very popular, I think, in certain audiences, is Osho dynamic. And Osho, anyway, he introduced technique of, he calls it like a moving meditation in a way, that seems more to me to be a catharsis, an energy release. And this dynamic meditation is specifically designed for our Western civilization, where we tend to be very caught up in our head, and we have a lot of releasing that we need to do before we get into the meditation. So I've been using this when I felt sort of distracted or I can't relax. And really, if you simplify it, it's like chaotic hyperventilation or like chaotic breathing, just really deep, quick breathing, so you super oxygenate yourself, and there's lots of different forms of that. And then it moves on to sort of a shaking out of your body, just catharsis, cathartic release. You just let it loose and shake it all out and move yourself. And then it's jumping on the spot, and then with your arms overhead with a chant, hoo, 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 hoo. And moving into just stillness at the end, and then you just let yourself move into a spontaneous natural dance. So I have the music to go along with this, and I've tried it a few times, and I did find it helpful as a releasing technique, but like a catharsis, but it's not something for me that resonates. Not something I'm going to keep using regularly, but I thought I'd mention it for those of you this might be something that you find very helpful to just shake it off before you go into a state of stillness. Now, some other things I've incorporated into my lifestyle related to healing my body and elevating my energy has been related to my diet. So fasting and intermittent fasting I found very helpful. Like meditating in a fasted state, I can get to such a higher level of consciousness. It's almost like the distraction of digestion is gone. There's so many other health benefits to intermittent fasting as well. It's something I recommend looking into. And I've just naturally been moving towards a more plant-based diet. I'm probably 80% or more plant-based now. I still have fish and eggs in my diet, but that I think is going to change too over time. Now, as a trainer and a fitness professional, I also look at balancing nutrients and like certain goals around your physique, but I'm not moving towards plant-based because it's, you should be vegetarian or vegan if you're spiritual. It's just something that is naturally happening with, I'm noticing how I feel when I eat foods, and I'm noticing what resonates with my body, and I'm noticing what I'm drawn to. And looking at meat, it used to, like a steak used to be heaven to me, and now I look at it kind of, there's a little revulsion, and like my body doesn't want it. So it's not a right or a wrong, but if you get more in tune with your body, listen to it, see how you feel after eating certain foods, really be mindful as you're eating, and just see what helps your energy elevate and go with that. But you have to really tune into yourself for that, not just what tastes good and what your urges and compulsions and cravings are. Look beyond that. And I'm not going to dictate a right way to eat around that, but just putting it out there, be aware of what you crave or what you like the taste of versus how it makes you feel and how your energy is afterwards. Now finally, something else that may not be exactly related to spiritual development, but that I've been using that I find very healing, very healthy for my body, is playing with temperature. So I've been introducing cold showers sometimes, and then also in my infrared sauna and hot Epsom salt bath. Very relaxing, very invigorating, rejuvenating, and it really brings me into the moment. Anyway, I hope you found this video interesting or helpful, and I'll post some links down below related to some of what I've talked about in here. But yeah, these are practices that I do recommend looking into, and like I explained, pursue what feels good for you until you don't need to make it a pursuit anymore, and it becomes part of your life, part of the way you live and move and breathe, and you can release and let go and just become the experience. Sending you love and light. Until next time, stay awake.